Occupancy Debunked. Welcome. I'm Carol Mixon Crendel, who has a love for all things self-storage. I like to talk about storage occupancy. For example, I had a store in Sacramento, and my owners from Tucson, they said, "Hey, you need to get up to Sacramento and change the rates. The rates, they're 100% occupied, and we've got to get the rates changed." So I get to the store and I said, "Hey, hi, how are you guys doing?" And so I said to the manager, "Hey, I'm here to increase rates." And the manager physically, his face became completely red. You could see the veins in his neck. He was so upset. He said, "I finally achieved the goal of the company is to be 100% occupied. And here you are, and you're going to change my rates. And now I'm, obviously I'm like have to start all over again." I said, "No, it's not that you've achieved a goal. We're real proud of you that the store is 100%, but we know that if it's 100%, we need to raise the rates." And then we realized that when you say something like, "Our store is doing great, we're 100% occupied," that is really a poorly trained manager quote, because they don't know that 100% occupancy should be your goal or should not be your goal. In this case, it should not be your goal for sure. Let's talk about the self-storage income terminology. The term unit occupancy, that is the spaces that are rented. And the area occupancy is the percentage of the square foot rented, all the spaces that are actually rented. And the gross potential is if all of the spaces were rented at the full price. Actual gross is the real amount that your store should be depositing each month. Now, the economic occupancy, or sometimes called effective rate in some softwares, that is the money going into the bank expressed as a percentage. And sometimes that has a dollar amount with it in the reports. So let's look at this. So when you're understanding your reports, so let's look at this particular example. The unit occupancy is 79.3. This is, again, the percentage of the actual spaces rented. And the area occupancy is 79.4. That's the percentage of the square footage. What that means is that you may have a larger spaces that are rented or smaller space. If that number is, you can see the area occupancy, you could say, because I've looked at that before and said, "Wow, looks like all your big spaces are rented, but you have a lot of little spaces left." So I would know that just from the area occupancy. Now, the gross potential is if all the spaces were rented at full price, that is how much you would be making every month. The actual gross occupied is the real amount that the store should be depositing each month. And the effective rate, which I call economic occupancy because I learned it that way, and that means dollars in the bank. So your effective rate in SiteLink reports would be, and some reports are different depending on what software you have, but and some say economic occupancy. But this is, now I want you to look at the difference between these, and I'll show you another example here. Let's hone in on these because these are really important. The gross potential is 86,587, and again, all rented at full price. And of the spaces that are rented, the income should be 65,357. And that is what's going on in the real amount that should be deposited each month. But again, look at the effective rate and what's actually being deposited. So this 37,694 of the economic occupancy, that's dollars in the bank, that's a red flag to me. And what I find that's so important about this is if you learn to live and manage by the numbers, what you're going to be doing is saying, okay, then why is the economic occupancy so much lower than what it should be at 65,357? So what changes this effective rate, or what things can affect it? First off, you start discounts from the standard rent. And these could be free spaces. These could be in employee spaces, which would be also probably listed on your free spaces. Charity spaces, which again, most of these would be listed on your free stuff. But again, if your owner has spaces, they may put it under their name, but not necessarily under free. But you're looking at all of these things because either they're discounted from the standard rent as zero, or they may be, I know I've had some people that just give them a discount every single month and they don't classify it in the software as free. So it's important to make sure you're doing all those things correctly too. The other things that can affect this are concessions or specials given in the software. And they can be long-term. That could be maybe your senior citizens that go on for quite some time, or military or students that you may give a long-term discount for the life of their tenancy. or something like the you pay for 12, you get the 13th month free. That's pretty easy to do, and it only really affects the 1 month generally. But pay 1 month, get the second month free. So those are concessions or specials that may be given in the software. The other thing that can affect this is company spaces like your golf cart space, storage, the records. I've actually audited a place in, I won't say where it's in. I'll just tell you, I was auditing and I found a storage property that had 23 spaces that were complimentary or free or were well, ultimately what they turned out to be is all company spaces. The company actually had a construction company, and so they put all kinds of construction things in these spaces, and they kept using them and getting more and never really doing anything with the spaces, and it was really affecting how well the store was performing when you get that many storage spaces. So those are things you want to kind of watch also, is don't have too many company spaces. You need to be careful about that, and even giving the free ones. And also, where you put your storage records, try to keep everything to a minimum and don't have more than you need. And then the other possibility of the thing that can affect the effective rate is employee theft. And that's one of the things that I do as an auditor. I look for employee theft. One of the great forms that you can look up in your software would be the discounts given, and it can be for reported period. I just happened to do this one for a short period of time, but I thought what was interesting on this is how many different discounts they had, and they have 90. Again, it depends on how big the store, but 20% off 6 months for, it looked like they only did that for the 5x10s. And Arizona, I'm not sure why, it's some Arizona special, I guess, or maybe it was in something Arizona, second week free, the business discount of 10%, the manager special of 20% off so they've got 50%, they've got a lot of military discount, multi-unit discount, punch card rewards, 15%, and look at all these different other senior discounts. And I'm going to say in the software that probably wasn't done correctly, and that's why there's so many showing up different, like they're different types of specials. And then the variance from the standard rate, and you have 24 customers, which is not terribly bad. I've seen it way higher than that, but it's a lot of money. This is per month, and this could be, a pretty significant amount, I guess, if over time. So here's the standard charge, here's the actual charge, and then the discount. So this store is giving away $1,651.30 per month. That actually is not too bad. But again, in fact, this is a store that I did an audit at just recently. So, and I was surprised that there were so very few discounts at this location, which is awesome. But remember, I would rather see you giving 1 month free versus like 4 month at 25%, because the customers sometimes get used to that, or even the special 20% off for 6 months. I don't particularly like that special because it gives them that lower rate for so long. And then they when they get to this end of the 6 month, they're like, oh my gosh, that went up so much when it wasn't terrible. So I like to get them in free or something the first month. And that's why you'll find the major companies like Public Storage doing the $1 move-in, because they realize that people are moving, they've got a lot of expenses moving, and it's an easy way to get them in. And then they're right up to the price that they want them to pay. So don't be afraid of rent increases. So often when I have gone to my stores and helped other people with this issue, the manager's just like, oh, we have to do a rent increase. Oh boy, that's going to be horrible. And I will say this, one thing I know about this is don't be afraid of raising your rents, and surely don't be afraid of being fairly aggressive to do that, because I think if you do too small of an increase, that's a problem, because people get mad. I I heard of this person that I said, yeah, we did a $1 increase and people were really mad. And we even had some move outs because of it. And I'm thinking, wow, $1 up and they were mad. I don't really understand that, but I do say years ago, I had one of my clients and he wanted me to send out these rent raises on his really nice gold leafed letterhead. And it was, and I know he was so proud of his company and that sort of thing. And it was to him, it was important, but and nice paper. And I wanted it to do just, on the regular white paper that came out of the printer, right? And then he was like, oh no, I want this on nice paper. And I said, I think it's going to make customers mad if you do that. And he goes, I think listen, this is the way I want you to do it. So I did. We had so many complaints about if you all, didn't have to spend so much money on the great stationery and your envelopes. And it wasn't just one, it was probably, we had about 40 complaints about what we sent the increase in. So just send it in a regular way and email it if you can. For sure, that's a great way to do it. And then obviously you probably want to mail it too. But I want you to think about this. When you do these rent raises, try somewhere 7 to 10%. It doesn't hurt. And I know, and then that's a generalization, okay? If you haven't been doing this for a while, then you probably could do that. If you do this all the time, that may be too much. But don't do too small of an increase also. And that can be a problem. That $1, if you do $1 up and you're like, wait, you sent all this, you spent 49 cents or 50 cents on a stamp and you're going up $1, it just seems ridiculous. And I know people are like, yeah, just we went up $1 just recently. I'm like, well, wow, how much is the rent? And they said, oh, it's like $100. Well, if you got $100 rent, raise it enough that it's not just $1. It's no, I guess to me, there's no point at that for that to do that, because you're going to make people frustrated anyway about the rent going up. You might as well go up a decent amount. So follow the public companies' price leads, because they are aggressive and they are really doing a good job. They have a lot of people that are in analytics. They're looking at every aspect of the store to determine which spaces to go up on, what sizes can you go up, and how much can you go up. So if you're following their lead, you're going to stay really competitive with, and you might say, let's say, let them be $1 more, let them be $2 more. I don't care if you want to be a little lower than what the REITs are. But if you have a great product, I wouldn't do that. I would just stick with them, because they're going to have a few other rules that you don't have. And I think that if you have great managers on the phone, that will help you be able to sell also. Keep in mind that if they're changing rates daily, you need to be doing them more often than you are. Keep really working on making your rates soar and making the process of doing the rent increases more often. And maybe it's looking at it every month and who can we go up on, and looking at the reports to be able to do that. If you need help with that, you can certainly give me a call. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We do these webinars on a regular basis, and they're just short and sweet and easy. And we would like you to listen to all types of things we have about self-storage. If you would like to contact me and ask me about any questions about self-storage or about rate increases, I'm happy to help. You can call me at the 800 number. It's also, where did I put my email address? I guess I just decided to leave that off. It's Carol@skillcheck.com, and 1L in skill. And we really appreciate you listening to this webinar, and thanks so much for being part of it.